Hey, this is Chris, the Idaho Painter. Hopefully you enjoyed this free video lesson on fences and decks. This is part of my comprehensive course over at paintlifesupply.com. The whole course goes into marketing, it goes into estimating, it goes into how to professionally stain fences, decks, and pergolas. So hopefully you enjoy this lesson, and thank you very much for watching. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about paint sprayers. Now, paint sprayers is probably one of the most common ways to stain a fence because they are significantly faster to stain a fence. And if you're in this business to make money, you're probably not going to make a whole lot of money, if any money at all, brushing and rolling a fence. So I'm going to be talking about, this paint sprayers that I've used over the years that work for me. Now, there's a lot of sprayer options out there, but I'll be talking about airless sprayers. Now, if you're thinking about using an HVLP sprayer, highly not recommended. Those are for small projects, getting ultra fine finishes. You're wanting to use an airless sprayer because it throws out a whole lot of product. The term airless means there's no air coming out with it. It's just pushing out products that you can actually cover a lot of surface area extremely fast. And I'll talk about sprayers in general, kind of break them down. Small sprayers, large sprayers, gas sprayers, and then electric sprayers. So the first sprayers we'll be talking about is small sprayers. One of the small sprayers I use and absolutely love is a TriTech T3. So I would suggest a small sprayers. One of the things about them is they're very convenient. It's very small, easy to take with you. If you're just a one-man show, doesn't take a lot of space in your truck, van, trailer, etc. And small sprayers can do from small fences to entire subdivision fences. So when it comes to, the small sprayer that, I would recommend, it's either a TriTech T3 or a T4. There's a little bit of a cost difference. I think the TriTech T3, that's their smallest sprayer, their entry-level sprayer. It's a professional sprayer. One of the great things about TriTech sprayers are they're 100% made in the USA, that I just believe in 100%. What's the difference between a TriTech T4? Kind of explain the difference. They both run at 3,300 PSI. That's very common for most airless sprayers. You can actually dial it down. When it comes to doing fences, I never run full pressure. When you start running a lot of pressure, you're going to create a lot of overspray, and that overspray, especially using oil-based products, can carry for long distances. The T3 has a max tip size of 21, so like a 1221, 621, so it's a pretty big orifice size. The T4 has a max tip size of a 23, so that is a really large tip size. To give you, some idea of what that is when doing new construction interior painting with paint, I typically use a 1221. Now, when it comes to doing fences, you don't need a tip that big. I'm typically going to be right around a 515 tip, so the tip size doesn't really matter when it comes to either one of those sprayers, except if you're wanting to purchase that sprayer for using it for more than just fences. The other thing I'll talk about is gallons per minute. The T3 runs at half a gallon a minute. The T7 is 0.57 gallons a minute. And what that means is you're going to actually put out more product, so you can actually move and spray faster. That does matter when you're starting to step up into larger tip sizes. Don't think when doing fences, the gallons per minute matters really as much, because you're going down in tip size significantly. When it comes to fences, if you're just buying this sprayer to do a fence, I definitely would recommend a T3. If you're using the sprayer to do, interior and exterior painting also, I'd probably recommend a TriTech T4. Now, they do have, a whole line of sprayers above that. We'll talk about large sprayers next. So the large sprayer, I would recommend TriTech T7. The TriTech T7, when I'm starting to get into what we're talking about, large sprayer, I'm going to be looking at a sprayer that's not what we call a stand complete. So a little T3 or T4 is just, it sits on a little stand. A T7 now is what we call a high boy. So a high boy is a sprayer that sits up high and actually tilts back, and it'll go right into a 5-gallon bucket. Now, one of the conveniences about a high boy sprayer, a large sprayer, is the handle of a 5-gallon bucket will hook to that sprayer. You can tilt it back, and now you can wheel the sprayer around with your 5-gallon bucket of stain. This does come in handy if you're doing large subdivisions. If you're doing a lot of fencing, and this is going to be a big part of your or services you're offering, then probably having a TriTech T7 or even a T9 would be beneficial. I have a T7, I have a T9 also, and typically if I'm spraying a lot of exteriors, the body of the exterior is going to be done with a T7 or T9. The sprayer is not working as hard, and you can actually add a lot more hose to it. So I typically run on a T3 or T4, I'll run 100 feet of hose. If I'm running a T7 or T9, I'll run 200 feet of hose. Now I don't have to move that sprayer amount around nearly as much. It'll reach an extreme long distance, and it's not going to overwork the sprayer. So now when it comes to kind of some of the stats of the T7, once again, it runs at 3,300 PSI. It has a max tip size of a 27. That's a huge tip. I've never used any tips bigger than a 21 actually in my career doing interior and exterior repaints. Some of the other stats about it, gallons per minute, 0.77 gallons per minute compared to like the T4, which is 0.57 gallons per minute. So it's going to start throwing out a lot more paint. Recently I've done, not recently, I would say a couple years ago, I did a whole fence around an entire subdivision, huge. And you're just spraying all day long, constantly going. Got a larger tip size, didn't have to worry about overspray. A large sprayer can be of benefit. And I typically, in my trailer, I'm going to have a large and small sprayer at my disposal anytime I want, because I'm, using both sizes quite often. If I had my choice between a T7 and a T9, I'd probably want T7. A T7 is a lot easier if you're putting it in the back of the truck. One person, you don't have a ramp on a trailer. A lot easier to get in and out of a truck than a T9. A T9 is pretty huge. All right, now I'll talk about gas sprayers, and the sprayers I talked about previously, the T3, T4, T7, those are electric sprayers. Now, I don't own a gas sprayer anymore now, but I have owned multiple gas sprayers over the years when I used to do a lot of new construction, when I did more subdivision fences. And why would you need a gas sprayer? Well, you would need a gas sprayer when you don't have access to electricity. And that's actually happened to me a few times in my career where the power was out on the home we were working on, so we couldn't plug into the home and utilize our electric sprayers. So we broke out one of our gas sprayers. But also on a subdivision fence, if you're working on subdivisions, say you're doing the outside of the fence around the entire subdivision, you can't just jump over the fence, go into the neighbor's yard and plug into their house, because you don't know if they got dogs, you don't know if they're home, you don't know if it's been okay to access their electricity. So you have to have your self-sustainable airless sprayer. And that was the same with pressure washing and getting water to actually clean the fence also. So gas sprayer was something I used to have. The gas sprayer that I had was a Titan Elite 3500, which was a high boy sprayer, pretty light, easily maneuverable, easy to get in and out of a truck, get in and out of a trailer. You would have to be just in the business of just doing fences all day long, every day, in a lot of subdivisions to justify using a gas sprayer. What are some of the outputs of a gas sprayer? 3,300 PSI, tip size 0.27, which is the same as a TriTech T7, gallons per minute, 0.75 gallons per minute. The Titan Elite 3500 has a Honda GX120 gas engine, which is an absolutely incredible engine. So that's a little bit about gas sprayers. I would say there's some benefits to it if you don't have electricity, but what are the drawbacks? One of the drawbacks to gas sprayers is they're just loud. I mean, you can't just show up in a subdivision, start working in a subdivision at 6 a.m. in the morning with a gas sprayer because it's extremely loud. It's the same with doing exterior and interior or exterior repaints. You show up, first thing in the morning on somebody's exterior and they're still in having breakfast, and you fire up a gas sprayer. It's extremely loud unless you have it inside your trailer and running, say 200 feet of hose. So on to electric sprayers. We talked about gas sprayers. The benefits to your electric sprayer, well, as long as you have a power, they're quite a bit quieter than a gas sprayer. If you don't have power and you don't have a gas sprayer, well, what are your options? I've actually had to resort to this a few times in my career. I actually have, for my trailer for fishing and stuff, my travel trailer, I have 2 Honda generators. And so one time a few years ago, I was out doing the observatory for, Idaho, and it's way out in the desert in the middle of nowhere. There was no power. I knew there was no power going into it. I don't have a gas sprayer. So I brought my little Honda generator, took it out there, and that thing ran absolutely amazing. Ran my sprayer and all the equipment we were using. So if that's all you got, you might have to get a generator at some point in time to continue on painting.